I mean, one of my clients took like a trip to Antarctica and like saw penguins. Another one like has a yacht. Another one donates tons of money to like lots of nonprofits. And I'm looking at these people and like those are the people that I'm now surrounded by. And I'm thinking to myself, I can do this. Like I can so do this.
You're listening to Investing for Good, a show that brings you the stories and strategies of people who are investing to build a legacy for their families, create a meaningful and intentional life by design, and impact the world around them. And now, here are your hosts, Annie Dickerson and Julie Lamb.
Hey, Julie, how's it going?
Going good. How are you doing?
Good. I wanted to wish your daughter a belated happy birthday. I know she just turned 8. Is that right? Your oldest?
Yes,
Yeah.
she did. Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited because I have been itching to implement the whole strategy of, paying out your child to do some kind of, task or whatnot, and then putting it into like some kind of IRA and, you get the write-off, she gets the defer taxes, and you let that grow and whatnot. And so we're not quite there yet, but we're at the beginning phases of it because I sat down with her and had her create a spreadsheet of the income every month. And then she needs to go through and log in. I showed her how to log into the portal where she can check if the rent came in, and then showed her 3 line item expenses, and then said, you need to make sure how much every month is left and how much is coming in. And then you need to report to mama,
Oh my gosh, how cool.
I know. And she's like so excited, at a time when like so many other kids are excited about getting an iPad or going to Disneyland or something like that. Like she is beyond excited. She's like I did a little video of it and she's just like really happy. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm stoked for her.
That's incredible. I mean, when I think back to when I turned 8, I don't even remember, but definitely I was not taught anything about this world. I think my mom maybe around 8 years old, like opened up a bank account for me and got like one of those little ledgers. And she was like, okay, every month when you put your money in, we're going to add a line item and you'll see the dollar amount grow. And that was all I was taught about money.
That's right. Yep. Typical Asian family is the only instruction you are given is to save. Save for what? I don't know. But it's just to save, right? Like
the bigger the
it's certainly
number,
not
the better.
It's certainly not to spend at some point, right? It's never.
Can't
no,
spend
you
that
would never
money.
do that.
No. You got to save every penny.
Right. For what you never know. And it's like one day you wake up and you're like, wait, what am I saving for again? Like, what am I doing all this for again? There's like no answers, it's so funny. So, but yeah, which I'm so excited about. Our guest today, Natalie Lemas, and her mom doing all of that training up front with her when she was a young girl. And look at her now and all of the amazing things that she's been doing since her early 20s, and so much wisdom from somebody who's way younger than me telling me how to do this whole thing. So it was so good. Yeah.
I know. Natalie is the CEO of Commercial Northwest Property Management. And also she hosts the podcast Worthy to Wealthy. And she's I think she said she was 32, which is crazy. Yeah. And she's done so much. She's created multiple businesses. She's done multi-million-dollar deals. She's been on the broker side, the property management side. She's done lots of coaching and classes. And just as you said, Julie, it all stemmed from her upbringing. Her mom was such a powerful force, or is a powerful force in her life. And all through growing up, I love the story she tells about how her mom was one of, I think, 2 female agents in an office of like 500
males.
Nuts.
Yeah.
And so Natalie was brought up with that and just, challenged to continue to bring her best foot forward and to challenge the norms, which is exactly what she's done her entire life to get to the success that she's reached.
Yeah, it was so good. And just to hear the ability for her to see certain holes in the business and directions that she could take it in her, what was it, like mid-20s? It was just so cool to hear that, and is really inspiring for me as a mom with 2 young girls to see the product, the result of, what all of my, everything that I preach every day to my girls, and about investing in just life in general, and to watch her, watch them be able to grow up and become everything like she has done. So
yes, absolutely. Well, enjoy this conversation. Here it is, our episode with Natalie Lemas. Natalie, how are you?
I'm awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
We are so excited to have you here. Now, Natalie, you and I first met through my husband, Joe, who's a realtor here in the San Francisco Bay Area. You were flying down every week from Boise, where you live, to teach this course called BOLD, which I think stands for Business Objective Life by Design.
Right.
And I remember thinking, holy smokes, she's teaching this super popular and impactful course in front of this room full of agents, and she's only in her early 30s. Now, we're going to get into all of that, the businesses you've built, the teams that you've led, as well as your beautiful family. But first, I remember you telling me about your mom growing up and how she was also a real estate agent and had built this incredibly successful business, as well as a robust community for women in real estate. So I'd like to start there. Can you tell us a little bit more about that experience and what it was like, and maybe the impact that it had on you and your trajectory in life?
Of course. So, every time I think about my childhood, I smile a lot because my mom, now being like an adult and, a boss of my own, it's so funny. I remember looking at my mom through like my eyes as a kid, and I thought, I could never do that. How does she do all of these things? Because not only was she running a brokerage. So my mom always sold commercial real estate. She actually started in San Francisco. She worked in the 80s at Marcus and Millichap, and she was 26 years old when she started her journey.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And she was one of two women in an office of 500 men in San Francisco. And
oh my God.
My mom is like very petite. Like when she was that age, she's still really petite, but like a petite, long blonde hair, like bombshell. And so I just can't even imagine what they thought of her. But within a few years, she became in the top 7 in the office. She got a private office, which everyone else had to be in like this big bullpen. It was super competitive. And so she'd always talk about that when I was a kid. And so I think as a kid, as a woman, I had the blessing of, I didn't really have to overcome a lot of like childhood programming that you're not supposed to do certain things, or you're supposed to be demure, or you're supposed to be proper and put other people first and all of those things.
I love it.
I grew up very much like my mom was always like, don't dumb me down. And, and she was really extreme. She was like, winning is great. She's like, but when you can beat a boy, that's even better. She's gonna kill me. She's gonna kill me for saying that, but it's true. She was very like intense, and then she started a brokerage here in Boise when we moved in 1995 to Boise, and she joined up with Keller Williams, and she was a #1 agent for in the entire United States in 2009, which was like the crappiest year ever.
Wow.
Because most people had quit by then, and she was just the last woman standing. No, she's incredible, and she really saw that women lacked support and community in the commercial real estate realm.
Right.
Even attorneys and accountants and builders and architects and anyone that had anything to do with lenders, title, with a commercial or multifamily specifically is what she always really focused on, and multifamily, and then also shopping centers, basically investment real estate. And so she started Crew. She's one of the founders of Crew, Commercial Real Estate Women, which now has, I think, over 10,000 members. And so she started that network, and it's a support network for women in basically a male-dominated field.
I love that. That's so funny. I have 2 daughters, and just yesterday we were like driving through a parking lot and this lady honked at me for like cutting in front of her. And I wasn't even cutting in front of her, but I was like, girls, don't you ever let anybody tell you that you cannot go. I had every right to go. And you know, if that ever happens to you, you tell that you don't let anybody bully you around, you know? And I feel like I'm like totally raising my girls to be boss, but I love that. That's so funny. And look at you now. And I'm like, that just excites me because I can't wait till my girls are like, you know, in their 20s and their 30s and they're just running around doing big things too. So I love that.
You're gonna create a monster.
I know.
So you're growing up, you're getting all these great, strong messages from your very fierce and competitive mom, and she's super successful, and she's building this business and this network. So, you know, as a child, as a teenager, were you thinking, oh, I'm going to grow up and
No.
I'm going to go into real estate too, or I'm going to start a business too?
No, I thought the exact opposite. I was like, I'm never going to do what my mom does. She's always on the phone. You know, she just works all the time because my mom was super active in the community. She may have done too many things, honestly. And, you know, I was like, no, I'll never do that. And I didn't know what I wanted to do type thing. So I wanted to be, you know, an actress. And then my parents didn't hire me an agent. And so I was like, totally scarred for life about that. And then, you know, I got a full ride scholarship to Santa Clara University in Northern California for Spanish, like random. Okay. And I did a year abroad in Ecuador and went to school. And then I distinctly remember I wanted to choose another major because I'm like, I can't just have Spanish. Like, that's weird. And so, no offense to anyone that just has a Spanish major, but I thought, I don't know what that's going to do for me. Right. And I was like, you know, I want to major in theater, but I'm not going to make any money at that. And I want to like live well. And I thought, what is the most creative business major? And I thought, marketing. So I'll do that. So I majored in marketing, but after college, I never looked into real estate. I didn't want anything to do with it until I got my first job. And this is like the most typical millennial story, like ever, because I graduated in 2011 from college. So it was the deep, you know, recession. All my friends got jobs like as baristas, literally, like there was no jobs. And then I did end up getting hired at Macy's. And so I was a manager at Macy's, and I was like, I'm rich. I was making $40,000 a year living in the Bay Area. You guys were like, no. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And I literally remember running around my apartment with my offer letter, and I was like, I'm so rich. And so 6 months into working retail, and I had about 45, it fluctuated between 45 and 60 people under me, all ages. I was leading them, and I had 3 departments and all this stuff. And it was an amazing experience. I learned so much. And I think because how I grew up, I was like, I don't know, but I just feel like I can't have a boss. Like I am not an employee. And, and so, but I'm so young, you know, but I'm so smart. and so I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I said, do you have any openings in the business? Because I want to come to work for you. And she was like, what? Yeah. I mean, I think she was shocked. And
she never thought that day would come.
Never. I mean, never in a million years. And so she's like, yeah, we have an opening, leasing apartments.
She's playing it cool. She's like, yeah, maybe.
Exactly. She's like, yeah, you can lease apartments. You can be a leasing agent, but you're going to have to take a pay cut. And I think I made $35,000. And so I started to work at Commercial Northwest, and I was leasing apartments. The very first move-in that I had, when I got there, the building was on fire.
Oh my gosh. Welcome to your new job.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'm just curious, like, was it, so you knew you wanted to be a boss, you didn't want to work for anyone. Was it seeing your mom like live a certain lifestyle, or like what made you go to your mom and be like, Mom, I want to work for you? Like why was that the answer?
Well, I was raised to be a leader. My mom and I actually, when I was 13, we started a retreat, and I was running retreats for teenagers, and now we still have it. It's a nonprofit, and we do nonprofit retreats. And so I just grew up in I had a lot of leadership training and experience. And I feel like I also have just a gifting. I'm a natural leader, and I've worked on it as well. And so it was difficult for me in that environment where I was working in a retail environment where there was other managers and things like that. Well, culture is everything. And the people that I was working with, they weren't ambitious. They didn't really have goals. They were really stagnant, and they were complaining a lot. And even my manager, and she was unhappy and like overweight and just in a bad mood all the time. And I thought, this is not where I want to be hanging out every day.
Totally.
And I was like, I want to have a greater impact, and I want to impact my family's business, because I knew that my mom had created something really great. And so, I was just like, honestly, it's really weird. It was like an internal call. I was like, this isn't fitting with me. And it was also Christmas time. So like my millennial brain was like, I have to work what? On what? So I quit during Christmas, like literally like the 21st of December or something.
Oh no.
I know. I totally let them down.
Probably time.
Yeah. Sorry guys, but
That's too funny. So you quit this job, you're working for your mom as a leasing specialist. What were you going to do? Were you going to just work your way up in your mom's business, or were you planning on then spinning off your own business?
I never thought to start my own business. Never. Which is weird. Even saying that, I'm like, really? Yeah, no, I didn't. My goal was to learn as much as I could. Like that was literally like my 3 or 4-year-old brain. I was like, I don't know anything. I just want to be a sponge. I want to learn as much as I can. So I began to be mentored by our CFO. He's been with the company for like 18 years now, but back then I guess it was more like 15 years. No, it wasn't that long ago. It was longer. So 10 years or whatever. And so every day I'd go in his office at 10 a.m. and I'd be like, tell me what is there to do. Like I've already leased out all my apartments. Like, I'm like, I need more. Give me more challenges. Let me talk to the owners. Let me do this.
Yeah.
So I just began to learn. And then we hired a business coach very shortly after I joined. And I remember this was like really my big first move into leadership. I remember telling my mom and Greg, who was our CFO, I was like, hey, I don't know how I knew this, but I just said 80% of our revenue is coming from 20% of our clients. And we were managing a lot of single family homes and stuff. And those are just not profitable, and people weren't happy. And, you had to have so many employees to manage all of that. And those owners they're not investors. They're hobbyists. Sorry, that's kind of offensive, but it's the truth. You have to start out that way sometimes, but if that's where you stay, then you're not an investor. And so from that conversation, we had 1,200 units. We ended up selling half of our company, and we went down to 600 units in management. And because we just stuck with the people that were investors, wanted to grow bigger and bigger portfolios. And then we've grown with our clients, and then we could give them better service. And now we manage 1,600 units. So that was strategic.
Did you guys see like a dip in your revenue after making a decision like that, or what happened? I'm so curious.
Oh yeah. I mean, our revenue was, like half, but also our headaches were half. And then our expenses, it just so happened that like 3 of our people decided to quit at the same time. And then 1 person we let go. So, it was at that point, it was literally like, we had like 6 employees from like 20 or something. I don't know the real numbers. Cause remember I'm a low C. So I'm not I'm just like, it was substantially more fun, less headaches. And we could actually start to grow with intention and be clear on who do we really want to serve? Cause we know that was the thing, is like, we knew that we provided something unique and special from like brokerage to management, all integrated and maintenance, but we had to do that for the right client. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes we often struggle with this too, and have a lot of discussion around, who are we actually trying to serve? And, for us, it goes back to a lot of
where can we make the most impact, and, how can we really help people? So after you made that decision in the business and there was a little bit of dip in revenue, now do you feel like you guys are, on point and things are, you're serving all the right people and business is thriving and all of that?
Yeah, radical change. We started to really focus in on that 20%. Like, what do they look like? What do they want? How can we be at like literally everything for them? How can we provide them the best service and really personal service? We actually, last year we closed $2.4 million in revenue, which I'm so happy about because, only 1% of women-owned companies ever gross over 1 million.
Okay. I didn't know that statistic. I love that.
Yes. So, we're 1%ers, which has like a whole connotation to it and, whatever. Anyways. And so, we only have 100 clients.
Nice. That's
which is
so nice.
And that is, when you have a small client pool, you can really provide that like genuine, we know our clients' birthdays, we send them like custom Christmas gifts based on like what they actually want, not just like a fruit basket, We have relationships. And then what's cooler is that now they are, it's like a dad, and then he'll bring in his granddaughter or niece or whoever it is that's interested in that. And so we're training the second generation. One of our clients has been with us for 20 years and we're on the third generation of the point person. Yeah. It's really cool. And for me, what happened was I was watching all of like our clients flourish, and, I got my license shortly after. That was my next step after leasing apartments. I was like, wait, what? Like I can like make more money by like just like becoming an agent. I'm like, so show me how to do that. So then I started to do that. And then 18 months into our business, my mom, suffered some major health problems. And then that's kind of what led me to, she basically looked me in the eyes and she's like, you're running the business. And I was like 24, 25.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then with her, 70% of our revenue walked out of the door because it was all related to brokerage and 30% was management. And so it was really scary, but I just made cold calls. People don't even talk about that. People are like, oh, I just created this Instagram account. Like, no, I literally picked up the phone and I called people that I didn't know. And I built the business through cold calls.
Wow. Yeah. So, that's crazy.
Yeah. I focused on that reoccurring revenue piece because I was like, for me, my life goal, I think brokerage is fun. I think it's great. That's not my genius. That's not what I love. I wanted freedom. That's my number one. That's my number one like value. So I was like, I'm going to build out this reoccurring revenue stream in this management. And I mean, my mom at the time, she's like, what are you doing? She's like, you're leaving so much money on the table. You could be doing brokerage. And I did do brokerage. We closed around, 20 million every year. I mean, but I could have squeezed that lemon even more, but I was focused on building the management, which is reoccurring revenue, and really building a scalable business. Because if you have a scalable business, then you have a passive income stream as a business owner. And that was my goal. I was like, I am going to create this to be running on itself. And I have, I have amazing people, and that was my vision, but that wasn't my mom's vision. She loved the art of the deal and she stuck with that. And so kind of going back to what I was saying, so I was watching my clients, I helped a client acquire land and develop and things like that. I started to become in meetings with developers and talking about, ground up projects for multifamily. And I'm watching, these people and I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, I mean, no offense, but I was like, if they can do that, I'm like, then I can too. Like, there's nothing, what's different about them and me? Like, maybe they're like, 40 years older than me and a white male and have connections to money. But I'm like, but I can too. And I'm freaking memorable. Like, look at me. I am different. So that's where things started to get fun.
We'll get back to our conversation with Natalie in just a minute.
Have you been thinking about investing in real estate but aren't sure you have the time or the desire to manage the investment? Perhaps you're afraid, like we were, that you'll make the mistake of choosing the wrong market or the wrong team and lose your entire investment. Well, that's exactly why we created the Goodegg Investor Club. We do the work of identifying solid real estate investment opportunities in the best markets around the country and then partner with you to acquire these investments, and then we'll all share in the returns. We'll identify the growing markets, strong, experienced teams, and the solid deals. We do all the heavy lifting of managing the tenants and the renovations, and as a passive partner, you get to enjoy all the benefits of investing in real estate, monthly cash flow, long-term appreciation, and the ongoing tax benefits. When we first discovered passive investing through real estate syndications, we realized it fit perfectly into our busy lives. We could put our money to work for our families, work less, and get more time back in our days so that we could focus on what matters most and discover our true passion and purpose in life. We've now helped hundreds of people invest passively in real estate syndications and are seeing the positive impact it's had on their lives. We invite you to partner with us by joining the Goodegg Investor Club today so you can start putting your money to work for you and get more time back in your day, because we know that when people have more time in their days, they can do the true work they were intended to do, and the world will be a better place. To sign up for the Goodegg Investor Club, go to goodegginvestments.com/invest and we'll take it from there. That's goodegginvestments.com/invest.
And now, back to our chat with Natalie Lemas.
So like I'm watching these people, and like my clients, they have apartments and they're out. Like, I mean, one of my clients took like a trip to Antarctica and like saw penguins. Another one like has a yacht. Another one donates tons of money to like lots of nonprofits. And I'm looking at these people and like those are the people that I'm now surrounded by. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, I can do this. Like I can so do this. Yeah. And so Ugo and I bought a 5-unit little complex in the north end of Boise, which is like kind of the quaint little neighborhood, maybe like the Mission District. I don't know if San Francisco is the Mission District. Yeah. Well, no, the Marina. I don't know. Maybe I've offended everybody that ever has like lived in the Mission. I don't know. But like, you know, kind of the quaint, like artsy, really cute neighborhood everyone wants to live in. Yeah. So we buy these 5 units, you know, then we remodel them and we move those rents from 500 to 1,100. And then I'm like learning like, what is net worth? And I'm like, holy crap, we're net worth millionaires. Doesn't mean we have cash. Right. but my personal financial statement is looking pretty good. And I didn't even know that like could happen. Like I didn't do any of this with like at that time
that intention.
No, I was just like, I can do this too. So then here's where it got fun. So one day, this is about a year after the 5 units, we're driving home from church and we see this little yard sign and it's on this big piece of land and it's right by our house, which we live in the neighborhood of like kind of the, I don't know, not the artsy one, not the like the cool artsy one. We live in the more like, how would I describe it? Like white picket fence, like, you know,
Suburbia,
but it's 10 minutes away from downtown. But so that's why people love it. And it's surrounded by the foothills. So it's gorgeous. So we see this land and we're like, oh my God. So Ugo, my husband, he says, and see, my husband is very like entrepreneurial. So he grew up with a family business and seeing somebody create something from nothing. Because that's a whole paradigm there.
Yeah.
So he's like, call. And I say to him, well, why would I call? Like, we can't afford it. Like, that's a piece of land. Like, that's huge. Like, there's no way. And he's like, call, just find out how much it is. So I call, it's a Sunday, and the little lady answers the phone and she says, well, he's asking $1 million and he's not going to take 1 cent less. And I was like, okay. And Ugo, I hang up the phone and tell him, and I'm like, it's $1 million. He's like, come on. He's like, let's just write an offer. And I'm like, but we don't have $1 million. And he's like, he's like, we can find $1 million. Totally. And I'm like, from who? Yeah. And he's like, I don't know, Natalie. He's like, but we'll figure it out. And I'm like, whatever, you're smoking crack. And he's like, write it up. So I write it up and I'm like, how much earnest money should we put? And he's like, well, in savings, we have $7,000. And he's like, So tell him $7,000. So we write up this offer and like, we have a due diligence period, right? And I think, we had to get the land rezoned. And so I think it was a 4-month due diligence period. And so we present the offer in person. And I think, honestly, that is like a nugget to take away because so many people just do things the typical way, like over email, and then there's no face-to-face. And then it's like, people can say no to you way easier and they don't have your story and they don't know anything about you. And so we meet this agent, she's like 75, at this really, really like dive breakfast break place that I've never been to. I'm like, oh wow, fancy, there's places like this out here. And so I'm just like, this is just unreal. So I walk in and I'm with my mom because I'm like, you have gray hair. You look more like her. I'm like, I just need you to be you. And like, I need you to be you and just legitimize me by your gray hair and the fact that you walk with a cane. She doesn't have a cane anymore. My mom doesn't, but, cause she got sick and then she got healthy. So that's a whole nother podcast. But, anyways, so she has her little cane, white hair and this lady, she's super lonely and we just hit it off. She takes it to her client signs the offer. We get it back within like 24 hours. Well, I mean, people are like shocked. Like next door, there's this developer that wanted to buy it, but they thought they didn't have the money. So again, I still didn't have the money to buy it. So I'm like, uh-oh. So now we're under contract. So I give them the $7,000, like the only like little baby amount that we had in our savings.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how we're going to get a loan. Like, I was like, just like WTF. But I was like, I'll find a way. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to get an investor. Like I find the property and then they get wealthy because I found the property. And good deals, if it's a good deal, it's not that easy to find a super good deal. So I put together a business plan. Like I figured out, okay, if we make it a subdivision, here's what the lots will sell for. And here's what all the development costs. I made calls and I'd be like, hey, how much is it for this environmental report? And how much is it for this? And how much is it for, the survey? And what do we need for, I had never done this. Calling the city and what do I need for rezoning and neighborhood meeting and notices. And then I'm like, okay, I call this land planner guy. And I'm like, how much is it to hire you? Because a consultant to help me figure out how to work all this. And so I put together this whole business plan and proposal because I could find all the information, I love Tony Robbins, so I don't know. He's got some scandals going on, but I love him. And he says the problem is never a lack of resources. The problem is a lack of resourcefulness.
Yep.
So I present it to one investor they own our local Keller Williams office. And they're like, hey, we have our money in other projects right now. Seems really, exciting. Is it a good opportunity? And how about you talk to this local builder? And I was like, okay. So I call the local builder and again, have my mom come, gray hair helps a lot. And, and I present and I'm just like, hey, here's what and they're like, so I'll never forget it. So what do you need? Bottom line, how much money do you need? And I was like, well, it's going to be $1,125,000 with all the costs and everything. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I think this is good. And then that's another nugget is always talk about the downside. What's the worst thing that can happen? Well, the worst thing that can happen is that none of the lots sell. And the best part about it is that the price, because here's the thing, you don't make money when you sell the property, you make money when you buy the property.
Totally. Oh yeah.
Got to buy it right. So luckily the price was a good price to where even if we couldn't sell the lots and the market, we could sell that for what it was worth or more.
Right.
Just the raw land. And so they wire me $1 million and we put a business plan and we're in partnership and, we're 50-50 partners on that land. And so then that was another one. So first it was the 5 units and I'm like, I'm a millionaire. Whoa. This is so fun and so easy. And on that one, I do want to rewind a little bit because, I needed 25% down for that one. When Ugo and I started our journey just with becoming financially free, it really started with getting out of debt. You can't create wealth if you're consuming more than you're making. Whoa concept. But I like to spend money. so we went to Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University. And so we began living, we would spend 45% of what we were making. And, I was in a sales position at that time. I was hustling and I was doing deals. And Ugo was working for his family business, but that business was not doing well at that time. And then he got a job at a bank and stuff. And so we had dual incomes at that point. And I was making good money in real estate, and we kept our expenses, we kept our overhead low. And so that's how we even had the, whatever it was, $125,000 in the bank to put on that 5 units, because we were saving.
Yeah.
We saved.
Yeah. It's like it's like a novel thing for people. It's like save, like my husband and I did totally the same thing. We were like pinching pennies, taking hand-me-down stuff, driving old used cars, like just scrimping, saving, paying off all our debt and everything. Like up until recently, it's been like save, save, save. And it's such a, you have to do that in the beginning to get to a point to have something to start with, but apparently in your case, you can have like $7,000 and then go out and find a deal for like, $1 million, which is such a great story though, because while we did it that way and we saved and we saved and we saved, you don't necessarily need to do it that way too. I think is the other side of this story, is that you could do it that way, but you could also go out there and get really crafty about it and, find some partners and do some big deals and grow your wealth that way too.
Yeah. And I mean, we've done it both. Like, I think that if we hadn't put our own money into this 5-unit thing, and really seen like the success from that, then I don't know that we would have had the confidence to like even bring somebody else into another investment.
Right. Right.
So
totally. Yeah.
So yeah. And we did put more than $7,000. We had more in savings. I had a couple big deals close. And so we did put more than 7, but we did not put $1 million.
That's such a great story.
And then just this year, Ugo and I bought we ended up doing this one on our own in Garden City, which is right next to Boise. It's like 10 minutes from downtown. That's my thing. It's like close to where people want to be. Like, I'm not about to like go out into like the boonies and like whatever. And maybe that's just me. Our strategy has been buy crappy places in good locations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And rehab them. But this is land. So we bought some land and we will put 30 units on it when the timing is right. And that's another thing, is like, don't rush things. So like in this one, this happened to be like an off market thing. It came to me through kind of like a friend told a friend and then told me. And immediately when I heard about it and the price, I was like, I had a gut feeling that the price was right. And because I'm crazy, I was getting my makeup done for a YouTube that I was doing, which my YouTube channel totally failed. My YouTube channel is a fail. Don't even go look over there. And it's like this call, and it's like, hey, like, I think this might be good. And I knew the location and I knew the what he was saying the price was. And I was like, that's just immediately like my gut. I was like, that seems really good. I was like, write up an offer, put X amount of earnest money down, like 1% of the deal, and get it under contract. Like, I think that people think that they have to know everything before they put a deal under contract. Yeah. And that is like the biggest lie, because what are you wasting? I mean, so then we put it under contract, and then I, did the due diligence afterwards, and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. But if we were to develop that land right now, we'd be the first on the street to develop, and it needs some infrastructure work. And I'm just going to wait till wealthier developers come along, and because it's a super hot street, until they come along and they put the pipes in, and then we'll own that. We have a loan on it. And I'm like, okay, can we afford? That's the other thing, is by keeping our expenses low, like our overhead, our like living expenses, then we can afford a payment on this land.
Yeah.
How does that work with land? Like, so you buy the land, but you have all this money tied up there, and then you have to make like payments on it unless you paid cash for it. So how does that work? Like, and you're like, oh, well, we'll just hold it for who knows how long. Like, do you just like, how do you fund that? Who pays for that?
So on the $1 million land, that one is cash. So that one we're not.
It just sits.
Yeah. On this one, it's just my husband and I, and there's so many unknowns because the infrastructure there isn't like, it needs probably new water, like main and stuff. And we just closed on it a few months ago. So, I mean, our plan is to pay it off and just own it free and clear, and then bring in partners to develop it. So we'll have it paid off probably in 18 months, 24 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love if I could pull a common thread through all of your stories. I think, I love how you said your top value is freedom, right? And so when you were building this property management business, it was all about, okay, how can I create that recurring income so that I can have the one thing that I want the most, which is that freedom, not the grind, not the, chasing after more and more customers, but this freedom. And in all of these stories where you're getting, where you're paying off your debt and you're saving and then you're investing, it seems like you're pointed in that same direction. Is you've got that freedom vision in mind, and everything is sort of building towards that, which is exactly what we talk to our investors about, is always make sure whatever you're doing, always to have that vision in mind and that goal, and know what your values are so that everything can be aligned and everything can be intentional.
100%. Yeah. I think knowing your values is crucial, because there's been deals that have come to us that we, that have seemed attractive, that we're like, oh, well, we can make X, or even like another business vertical or something like that we could add to our business. And I think ultimately, like when Ugo and I flush it, because in the beginning, it's like always like, yeah, for me, I'm always like, yes, we can do anything. But then like when I slip, and that's why I'm married to my opposite, is because he's more methodical and detailed, and he like stops and thinks, whereas I don't. That's a learned thing for me, thinking. It's a learned behavior based on a lot of errors. And so I think filtering everything through, like, will this ultimately bring us freedom? Are we passionate about it? And will it impact our lives in a positive way, and the people around us and our companies that, believe in us and are working with us towards these visions? Like, that's really what matters. And then for me and Ugo, we've had this vision for me to be coaching more and speaking more and putting on seminars and really helping people get wealthy and feel, because that's the thing, is like, if we are in scarcity mode and fear mode, we would have never written that offer. We would have never, even if you have the perfect strategy, you'll never act. We will never act if we're in fear and scarcity. If we can tap into like this internal place in our soul that's guided by abundance, faith, and like wealth, and feeling like, security is already in your life and it's not some external thing, then I think then it's much easier to take steps out and start to invest, because you already feel that way inside. Like, so yeah, no, freedom has been it. And it is what has allowed everything we've created over the last 8 years, has been what has allowed me to now step out and, do speaking and coaching and lead seminars, which was ultimately that was my vision when I was a teenager and running these retreats. I was like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. But I had this limiting belief that, I'll never make any money at that. I'll never make any money at that. And so it took me on a roundabout journey. And now having that abundance and that passive income flow to really go out and impact and live, my dream life. Like, I have more dreams, like a private plane. I also like to donate $1 million to, I like to donate $1 million to Operation Underground Railroad. And I'd like to have more people come through our free events and stuff. So, I have more things I'd like to do, but when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, holy crap. But it didn't happen overnight. Yeah. And it happened by getting out of debt and saving. That's the first step.
Yep. That's totally the first step.
Well, with that, I think that's the perfect segue. Shall we segue into our impact round?
Let's do it.
All
right. So first question is investing in yourself. So tell us one way that your investments are allowing you to live a better life.
Where do I begin? Like, I don't even know. This last year, when we were able to donate, I think we donated over probably over $15,000 to different things that we're passionate about. That would have never been possible. We got to donate to this really cool. It's a musicians hub for musicians that struggle with mental health. And so that's something that's we are all about. And then Operation Underground Railroad, which is kids that are been sold into the sex trade. And then, of course, our nonprofit. That's one way. I think another way is just the freedom to speak and coach now. Like I never felt that I could do that while grinding on the business and in the day to day. It was never going to happen. So, and then my husband, I mean, I retired my husband, he's retired. And so that's pretty freaking cool. Our son, you know, we have a nanny who we absolutely love, who I met through our retreats. So we get to bless and impact her life and the 30 people that are in our company. And it has impacted every area of my life.
I know. It's crazy.
It's
when I think about too, like all the different ways that passive investing has changed my life. I mean, I could sit there and write a long, long list of like every corner of my life that it has affected and changed, not only in my personal life, but in the lives of my kids' lives. I have 3 kids, and, you know, and then in the lives of each of their, you know, friends' lives at school, because of my ability to be in the classroom, or, you know, my ability to host like get-togethers and things like that. Like it just kind of like goes on. And it's been an amazing ride. So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm like, oh, free time, let's start another business.
I know.
But I love
That's
that.
like me too.
I love that so much, Julie. That's like my ideal version of myself. But then I'm like, but that's not me. So it's just like, but in my head, that's what I'd want.
Yeah. That's
but then
funny.
one Saturday with my son, and I'm like, oh wow, this was great. I'm like, when is Monday coming?
Yep.
And maybe it's the age, but definitely like being a mom is something that I've really like had to work on really sincerely.
Yeah. Okay. So investing in others. So what is one investment strategy or one hack that you might be able to share with our audience that will help them catapult their investing journey?
Like live below your means.
Yeah.
I mean, put a cap on your spending, because I think what happens so many times is you get a raise, you get a promotion, you get some unexpected money from something. And then our lifestyles just expand with the amount of money that we receive. Yeah. Like, remember when you were in college and you maybe, or your first apartment or whatever, you lived in like a little shack. I mean, a little place was 700 square feet, you know, and there's people that live like that with like 4 or 5 kids. And so, in other countries, and I mean, even in our country, you know, but it's like, don't expand your lifestyle with the amount of money you make.
Yeah. I mean, I think like if you can keep things at a percentage, like that's helpful, at least. Like if you always said like, well, you know, we'll always only ever spend like 30% or 40% of our income, and we'll save 60%, no matter whether you're making $1 million a year or $10 million or $100,000. But like, putting that percentage on it, I think has always been helpful for us. Like we never go over like a certain percentage. If you have that like percentage, I think, because, you know, we all work hard and you want to feel the enjoyment of like that success, right? And so if it's like, if you only stuck to like this number, but I think if you looked at it as like a percentage, that could be helpful too, or has been for us anyway.
Yeah. I mean, ours is 45%. And occasionally Ugo and I will do, so we have, we stick with like the pocket money things. So like I have an allowance, he has an allowance, mine is more than his, because it's more expensive to be a female. It is.
Yeah.
So, so we do that. And then occasionally they'll be like, we'll negotiate. We have 2 meetings a week. We have our date night, which we do like fun stuff and we don't talk about business. And then we have like our business meeting every Monday at 12:45. And so during that time we have an agenda. And sometimes during that agenda, I'd be like, okay, banker. Cause he's managing all of our money and arranges it and puts it into different places. I don't do that. I make the money. He multiplies the money. We're very delineated in what we do. And so I'll be like, okay, banker. I'll be like, how much percent can I get off of this new deal that I just closed, or off of this new client or whatever? And then I'll get like little bonuses here and there for, you know, if I want to buy something. But yeah. For the most part, 45% is what we try to do.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. Last question. What is one thing that your investments are doing to make the world a better place?
So for me, that's the whole reason that I wanted, to me, freedom is like the freedom to impact. And like I just gave like a free mental and emotional release session to a single mom, you know, and that was, it's an unconscious mind process that aligns your conscious and your unconscious and really eliminates the 5 negative major emotions that we feel: fear, hurt, guilt, sadness, and I think the last, anger. And, you know, I was able to do that for free, and that's my time. And I studied to do that, and I've had to pay money to do that. It's my business, you know, but if I was counting on every single client to pay me, you know, because I didn't have any other investment streams or whatever, I wouldn't be able to do that. So that's one way. And then time, you know, like we do this nonprofit and it's a retreat and it's for 18 to 25-year-olds and it's 100% free. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have investment streams that covered me when I'm not working and in my business. Just simple things like when my mom, this isn't even a simple thing, but when my parents, you know, got sick and my dad had cancer at the same time as my mom had a major, you know, she became a quadriplegic after surgery, but she's walking now. She has a YouTube video up. It has 35,000 views on it. Just Google Nancy's testimonial. You'll see it. It's amazing. So, you know, I was able to go to the hospital every single day and be with her when she was there for, I think it was 8 weeks. It's just, I think having that, to me, it's just like having it checked off in my mind. Like my overhead is covered. And now it's like I can create whatever I want to. And I'm going for more because I want to impact more people.
Right. Yeah.
And
I
that's,
love that.
you know, at the end of the day, that's what, like you said, that's what it's all for. Is, you know, I think so many people live their daily lives worried about money. Money is the number one thing. But once you've got the money taken care of, you can focus on living your life and being with the people that you love and making the impact that you were put here to make. So, Natalie, I'm sure we've only skimmed the surface. There's so much more to you and all your business success and your coaching and all of that. So, if people wanted to learn more about you and all that you're up to, what's the best place that they can go?
Oh, Instagram. That is, I am so active on Instagram. It's not even funny. You would just put Natalie, I think it's _Lemas,
Okay.
Lemas. And I'm posting, I do like a story every single day of just thoughts. I tend to process my own world and get like takeaways and then share whatever comes to me for my own help. And hopefully it helps other people.
All right. Well, Natalie, we'll be sure to have your Instagram handle as well as a link to your podcast in our show notes. Natalie Lemas, CEO of Commercial Northwest Property Management and host of the podcast Worthy to Wealthy. Natalie, thank you so much for being here with us today.
You guys are
Natalie.
the best.
You've been listening to Investing for Good, the #1 podcast for people like you who are investing to build a legacy for their families, create a meaningful and intentional life by design, and impact the world around them. For more resources, check out goodegginvestments.com/podcast and be sure to join the Investing for Good Facebook community. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review so we can continue to bring you amazing new conversations every week. Until next time, keep investing for good.